Check, check, check. 1, 2. Check, check, check. 1, 2. Are we live? Are we live right now? I think we live. I think we live. I think. Are we live right now? I think we live. I think we live. I think. Yeah, I think we good. I think we are good. I think we are live. We're going to just let it build up a little bit more until we start getting started, man. For those in here that's coming through, man, shout out to everybody coming through to the stream. If you're watching this post stream, again, shout out to everybody watching the video. Yeah, man. So we're going to try something a little bit different this year. I know it's been a while since I did a Patriot review. I did a Patriot talk. Honestly, I just didn't want to get into, one, I've been busy with work, but, excuse me, but also too, some of that stuff is just, it's just BS, man. Like, I kind of been paying attention to the stuff that's been going on in training camp. And outside a couple of things, some of the stuff that I could just come on here and repeat over and over. Mac Jones looks good today. Cam Newton looks good today. Who's going to be the starter? Like, I don't care about all that. I care about what we're going to do on the field, and that's why I was excited for this first preseason game. And, they came out with victory, but when it comes to preseason, similar to like Bill Belichick, he doesn't really care about the wins and losses, really. Yes, he wants to win, but he's not really looking at it like, oh, we got to win this game. He's more so looking at it situational. He's more so looking at how guys want to respond. Just like how in this game earlier, if you watched it, it was like a 2nd and 5, and he threw a pass. It was a little bit low. Mac Jones did, and they called it incomplete. But on the review, you clearly see Jacoby Myers got his hands underneath the ball, and it was clearly a catch. Instead of challenging that, which I was like, why don't you challenge that? Bill Belichick said, 35 now? I'm going to see how you're going to respond. And then Mac Jones ended up getting the first down, so he responded well. So there's that. And so, like I said, I wasn't really too worried about the wins and losses. I'm also worried about how guys were looking. And I'm telling you this right now. This is only the first preseason game, right? Only first preseason game, so we're not going to go too crazy. However, Mac Jones was like the best quarterback on the roster right now. Again, like I said, I get it. Cam Pryor, I think, played 2 series this game, and one of those series ended because Isaiah Wynn got cooked by Chase Young. So I'm not saying Cam Newton was terrible. Not saying that at all by any stretch of the imagination. Let me go ahead and throw the slide on real quick. There we go. By any stretch of the imagination, I'm not saying Cam Newton was terrible. I'm not saying that Cam Newton was bad. However, let's go ahead and go right here. Cam Newton today didn't play the best, but he played decent enough. And again, like I said, some of the mistakes that happened when he was in the game, it wasn't his fault. Again, them having to punt the ball early when they was driving the football down the field, that's Isaiah Wynn getting cooked by Chase Young, and Chase Young's a dog, by the way. But yeah, Mac Jones, though, looked very good today. Again, he was playing with the starters. He played with the backups, and he kind of handled himself well, you know what I'm saying, with pressure, was able to get the ball out. His pocket presence was very good, and just everything about this whole team, this whole game, I enjoyed it from the offensive perspective. We're not going to be the 30-point, scoring offense that, we had with Tom Brady, but, we're going to get the run game going. I think Damian Harris looked good in spurts. Sonny Michel looked good in spurts. J.J. Taylor looked very good. A little bit Deion Lewis-esque, if you ask me. So, yeah, a lot of good things to take away from this. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let y'all see the highlights real quick because I got to go ahead and get my notes. I thought I had them with me, and I don't. So I'm going to let y'all go ahead and see the highlights, rock out with some music, and I'll be back in like about 10 seconds, okay? We're back. We're back. So, yeah, I hope you guys saw some of the highlights from today's game. As you see right now, the standing ovation that Mac Jones got, which was, I didn't think that they was actually going to get one. But just go ahead and talk about this game. I got my notes right here, and I'm going to go ahead and just go through and break down the entire game. Well, mostly the first half, and then some of the third quarter. I was working out during the second half, so I was kind of paying attention in and out, but I was more so worried about how Mac Jones was going to respond and stuff, but he's with the backups, and so I'm taking it with a grain of salt. But first things first, man, my early impressions on, it looked like to me, Gerard Mayo was calling the plays on the defense. Now, they kind of did this last year where they had Steve Belichick call some of the plays. They had Gerard call some of the plays in preseason, and then it seemed like about midway through the season, it was Steve Belichick calling plays. So I don't know if they're going to make Gerard Mayo the primary play caller. You know, Belichick is still considered the defensive coordinator per se, but maybe he's the one that's calling plays. He's the one that's in the headset because they both have headsets on, but I saw Gerard with the actual play art and everything. So maybe he's the one calling plays. Also, too, the past 20 so odd years, we had Vinatieri, we had Gautieri, who is going to be a Hall of Famer now that he's retired. We went through a year or two phase, about a year to 3 year phase where we were trying to figure out who's going to be the next best kicker, and we got Gostkowski, and then, Gostkowski kind of started falling off a little bit, and then for the past 2 years or so since we lost Gostkowski, even in Gostkowski's last season and a half, where he wasn't at the best that he once was, we were looking for a kicker that can be consistent. We brought in Nick Folk last year, but he's hurt right now. But this new guy, undrafted free agent Quinn Norton, I think he might be the next kicker. Again, only one game. You're only good as your last game. But 3 field goals that he kicked, 35, 50, 40-yard field goals. All 3 of them straight down the middle, and he had plenty of legs, especially on the 50-yard field goal. And he's killing it, man. Like I like what I saw with him. Very, very good guy to look out for. Very, very good kicker that we could potentially have on our roster. And if that's somebody that we can trust, because again, this team isn't going to score 30 points. So you might have to, we might want to have to settle for 48, 50, 55-yard field goals. And so to have a kicker like that, where even if we get down to like the 30-yard line or so and we can't get into the end zone, but at least we can still get points, that's going to be a very, very big factor to us. So having him out there making those kicks showed me that they have a lot of confidence in this guy. And Nick Folk, your days may be numbered, man. Again, Nick Folk isn't the best kicker. He doesn't have the most power. I mean, if it's 35 yards and in, it's pretty much money. But once it gets like 40 yards and everything, like I think he made a 50-yarder last year and it barely hit there. Nick Folk never really had the strongest leg. But this guy Quinn Norton, and Pat McAfee was talking about how he loved him, how he knew about this kid, and how much of an impact that he thought he was going to make. So having him out there really stepped up, and I think it's going to be a crucial part on this offense. Now let's go ahead and talk about breaking down the drives and everything. So the first defensive drive, Jalen Mills stepping in, to J.C. Jackson's role. J.C. Jackson goes up to number 1 corner since Stephon Gilmore's not there. He got cooked by Scary Terry. I mean, that's Terry McLaurin, though. He got cooked by him. But then Matt Judon, the new edge rusher that we got from Baltimore Ravens, gave him a lot of money for agency. He made an impact, getting plays in the backfield, getting to the quarterback, a couple of hits on that first drive. Then Adrian Phillips was all over the ball 24/7. Every time there was a tackle made, he was either involved in it or he was right there with it. So that was good for the defensive drive. We forced them to punt. On the first offensive drive, man, we started off okay-ish. A little bit slow, and then Chase Young, cooked Isaiah Wynn, and that forced the strip sack, but they called it an incomplete pass. Kansas Arms moving forward, and then Jake Bailey, man, a fucking moonshot of a punt. The coverage could have been a little bit better, but Jake Bailey pretty much, I think, kicked like 50, 55 yards, and I said this last year, Jake Bailey was probably our MVP. Like, if I had to pick an MVP, it probably would have been Jake Bailey, the punter. Now with Quinn Norton, Jake Bailey and Quinn Norton, we're going to have a very good special teams, and we have a new long snapper too. As long as he holds up pretty well, I think our special teams is going to be good. And Bill Belichick emphasizes special teams a lot because that's the unsung group on the team. You have great special teams, kicker, punter. That's the field position battle right there. So now we're going on to the second drive on the defense. Judon, he was blitzing, saw it was a play action, saw the running back was leaking out to the left side. He peeled back, forced the incompletion. And then the very play or two later, he heard Ryan Fitzpatrick, got in there, got a hit on the quarterback, and forced an incomplete pass, but it was great coverage by J.C. Jackson. And then it was like third and long. Kyle Duggar gets cooked by Logan Thomas. And then Judon later, that drive, hurt his knee, looked very bad. He was in pain. You heard him screaming. He took his helmet off immediately, but he went to the blue tent, came out underneath his own power, and then he even came back in the game for a couple plays in the next drive. So all good with Judon as of right there, but again, something to worry about. Just be cautious. Maybe he doesn't practice the next day, or maybe he does, because again, he came back in the game and everything, and it seemed he was fine. Also, too, on that drive, Jackson gave up a third down to Humphries. You can't do that, and then they ended up missing a field goal on that. So now we're going to go to the second drive on the Patriots offense. Cam Newton starting to drive down the field, got a first down to Jacoby Myers. Jonnu, he took that drag route, got a first down. I like seeing Jonnu. Sweet feet, James White, he comes in, gets a screen pass. Again, the offense is clicking. We're moving the chains, we're moving the ball and everything. And then a failed screen on third down, which was Cam's fault. He kind of threw a bad pass, and pressure also got there to the player two before we had to end up settling for three. And that's when Quinn Norton makes the 35-yard field goal. And that did it for Cam Newton's night on the day. And so coming back on defense, the run game, we were like, one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. And, the Redskins, the Washington football team, they like to run the football. We kind of shut them down a lot, especially with the starters in the game. So I was really excited to see that. We forced them to a punt. And then after that, Mac Jones comes in the game. He gets a standing ovation. And then, Myers, again, he had that tough catch, but they called it incomplete. Belichick didn't challenge it, wanted to make it 3rd and 5 and see what Mac Jones is about. Something, Belichick wanted to see. And he ended up getting the first down, so he passed the test. Later on, got a seam pass to Kendrick Bourne, another receiver that we got in free agency. Nelson Aguilar was out this game. And then he had a perfect throw to Wilkerson. Hit him in the bucket. I wish I had that play to show you. But it was a perfect pass down the sideline. Hit Wilkerson in the hands. Hit him in his left hand, and he just couldn't catch him, man. But that was a perfect pass. We had to end up settling for a 50-yard field goal, and Norton boomed that. He kicked it straight down the middle. He probably could have made it 55 yards at least, maybe even 60. But he had a leg on him with that one, and so we ended up going up 3-0. Then the defense did a good job. Bauer with a sack. Now the backups are pretty much in the game now. We gave him a 20-yard catch in zone. Calvin Noy, he was pressing up too much on the underneath route. He should have fell back because he had a linebacker next to him. So he got to get better on the hook zones right there. And then Josh Uche, linebacker from Michigan, drafted a year or two ago. He saw the play action boot with Heineke, who came in the game again. Like I said, now we're backups in. He saw the bootleg, was able to force a bad throw, and it's almost an interception. Kyle Duggar and the other safety kind of went for it at the same time, so it could have been an interception. And then Juwan Bentley on the very next play comes in, hits Heineke, forces an early pass, and forces them to punt. And then looking at the offense, after Mac Jones' second drive, he checks in, he checks down and and J.J. Taylor gets a good effort to get the first down. Mac Jones was showing a lot of good pocket presses. We had about 3 to 5 false starts this game. Got to clean that up. And then the second half, Mac Jones started running a no-huddle offense. So, it wasn't like, he was trying to hurry up. Like, they just didn't huddle the ball up. They hiked the ball like 10 seconds left on the play clock, but after the play was over, get him to the line of scrimmage, hurry up, wait. Let's read this real quick. And I think he did a pretty good job with that. Even though he didn't get a touchdown and some of the drives stalled out, I think he did a pretty good job handling pressure. So my whole review on this game is that Cam Newton, I feel like, is probably going to be the starter. Now, I can see Mac Jones starting week 1, potentially. But I think Cam Newton's going to start week 1. I think Belichick's going to let Cam start week 1. But Cam Newton can't have the games that he had last year, where they brought in where they brought in Stidham, and then, Cam Newton will start the next week. That can't happen, because if that happens, Mac Jones is going to be the starter, and I don't know if he's going to look back. I think we are in good hands with Mac Jones right now. I think he's the future quarterback of the Patriots. Well, he is the future quarterback of the Patriots, but I think that we're in good hands with Mac Jones. Again, if you saw my video on the draft night, I wanted Justin Fields because I was okay with Mac Jones. I was always fine with Mac Jones, us drafting him at number 15, as long as he didn't trade up for him. But I said, if Justin Fields is available and we can trade up a little bit, then I say go get him. So when Justin Fields was available, like about 3 to 4 picks before us, and we didn't trade up and get him, I was hurt. But again, I wasn't mad at the Mac Jones pick, because all along I said, if we get him at 15, I'm okay with that. And I think that I think that Belichick really got the quarterback he wanted, and I think we got a quarterback for the future. But that's going to do it for this review, man. Again, the 15 minutes. I try to keep it under about 20, 30 minutes. Don't want to make it too long. For those that was in the stream, appreciate you rocking out for me. Those that's going to watch this post-stream, appreciate you rocking out with me. I'll catch you next time, y'all. Again, Mac Jones, the future is here. Catch you next time, y'all. Peace.